Hi, Jeremy Crow here. I'd like to go over the concept of why there is no Earth card in the Major Arcana of the Tarot. So first off, I'll just say that in the Major Arcana of the Tarot there is 22 cards, 3 elements, 7 planets, and 12 signs of the zodiac. Now some people might say, well, it's because they're associated with the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. But that's something that came later. That was a layer of meaning that was applied onto the cards at a later time. And it fit really well because in the Hebrew alphabet, there are 3 mother letters, 7 double letters, and 12 simple letters. And in the Kabbalah, they do have those associations as well. The 3 elements, 7 planets, and 12 signs of the zodiac. So it does fit really well, but it still doesn't answer why there's no Earth. In order to kind of compensate for this, some people who have studied the tarot and use the tarot a lot have decided that they were going to use Saturn, the card that represents Saturn, which is the world card. Make that do double duty as the planet Saturn and Earth if they needed it to use it for Earth. And that does have merit to it. If you take Earth and have that as the first planet and then move up the Chaldean ladder of lights or up the tree of life if you're a Kabbalist, and Saturn will be the 8th. So if you're aware of the concept of the music of the spheres, where they say that each of the planets rotating in its orbit emits kind of like a note, and together they form a symphony, the music of the spheres or the music of the heavens. Well then, Earth and Saturn are the same note, but they're on a different octave. So there's that concept. And there's also the idea that Saturn is associated with limitation and restriction and death as well. And Earth is also associated with those things in a lot of ways. So there's definitely merit to the idea of using the world card as both Saturn and Earth. But it still doesn't answer the question, why is there no Earth card in the first place? Well, to get to the bottom of this, you kind of have to understand the concept that water, fire, and air, or in alchemist terms, elemental salt, sulphur, and mercury. Now, this is not to be confused with planetary Mercury, which is separate. So we'll just stick with the more common terms of water, fire, and air for the rest of this video. So these are the principal elements, and I'm not saying like principle like as in a concept or an idea, a principle, but as in principal, as in first or fundamental. So these are the ones like the fundamental building blocks of everything in existence. So if you have, say, an apple, or a bushel of grapes is a good example too. That is Earth, and it's composed of differing quantities and qualities of the 3 principal elements bound together, and that forms Earth. Now you may have heard the concept before that Earth is composed of water, fire, and air, but they don't really explain it very often. A lot of times when I first encountered it, I kind of just accepted it as a concept, but didn't really, intellectually understand it until I started studying and practicing lab alchemy. But now in lab alchemy, what you do is you take that Earth and you break it down into a chaos, and this is a stage of fermentation. Break it down into a chaos where it's formless and void, you could say. And then you separate out the water component, the fire component, and the air component. And you find that they're impure, they're in their impure state. So you purify each one of those individually, and then you recombine them. And when you recombine them in their pure state, you get the fifth element, the quintessence. So earth is the fourth element, and it's derivative of the three principal elements of water, fire, and air. And they come together in their impure state to create the fourth element of earth. But if you have pure principal elements and you combine them, you get the fifth element, which is kind of like a pure earth, or the earth brought to its highest potential, in a sense. So that's why you don't have the earth card. It's because earth is not a principal element in itself. It's composed of water, fire, and air, which in the tarot would be the Hanged Man is water, Judgement is fire, and air is the Fool. So those are the three elemental cards in the Major Arcana. They combine their impure state to create earth. They combine in their pure state to create the fifth element, quintessence. Some people call it spirit, but I think quintessence is a bit more appropriate when you really understand how it's formed. And the goal is, of course, to bring yourself, because you are earth to begin with, in a corrupt kind of form, a mortal form, and bring you yourself into an immortal form. And some people call this the diamond body, or the rainbow body, or the resurrected body of Christ, or the temple made without hands, eternal in the heavens, or the cubic stone. There's so many terms for this. The New Jerusalem is a great example, because it's the earth brought to its highest potential, to a higher level. It's all the same stuff, but it's been purified and brought back together. And you have to go through the death process in order to kind of... that's the fermentation, or putrefaction is one of the terms that's used in alchemy. So, I mean, it's a bit of a complicated answer, I guess, but if you break it down, earth is not an element in itself. It is a derivative element, and there are only three principal elements, and those are used as building blocks. So there you have it. That's why there is no earth card in the tarot.